Much better, thanks for asking. Just blew my nose a lot, drank fluids. It snowed at some point. It doesn't seem to ever snow thick or hard enough to do snowmen anymore. You don't see kids doing snowmen. They still play outside, but who's to say it has to be made of snow? If it's too slushy and it's not staying together, you can use something else. What about a hunk of cheese? Take a big hunk of cheese or a cheese wheel, get a carrot, a scarf, something. I don't know. You could probably make a snowman out of that. Steve Wonder here from GetRubix.com, and today we're going to do the part 3 of the deep dive into the Intune device migration v6, and we're going to look at, a few more things. So we're just going to keep going. I'm not going to say what we're going to do, and we're just going to do it. Cheese is a snowman. What? That's not weird. Okay, so what were we doing? Yes, in the part 2 of the deep dive, we finished up around the final boot, going through that process and what it looked like to take over the old user profile instance with the new SID. I do want to move on to some of the post-migrate stuff, but I did get questions about the registry cleanup. There's actually 2 functions, maybe soon to be 4, in the next update, but these will be responsible for cleaning up the path. So I'm going to walk us through the basic idea of one of these, and we could go from there. Just so you know, in the GitHub, if you take a look, let me see if I make myself smaller and put the GitHub up here. Maybe, I don't know. There is now the main branch, which of course is the latest production branch. It's tested, it's working, but there's also an alpha, a v6.2, where I'm trying new features people are suggesting, playing with some things, some more efficiencies. So if you're brave and you've been following this and you want to see some of the new stuff, feel free to click there and try some out. I'm updating it whenever I feel like it. All right, let me see if I can go bigger again. There we go. Okay, so getting back, let's take a look at what that would look like to clean up the registry. Now, just so you know what I'm talking about, let me open up a lab machine. Okay, so in this lab machine, if you take a look, it's quite a bit here, but in the identity store, which is one of the things we're going to clean up, is specifically in the logon cache, right? So the logon cache has all these areas. Basically, they have different GUIDs, right? So within those GUIDs, you have these categories: name to SID, SAM name, and SID to name, where you're going to have possibly multiple entries. And within those entries, you're going to have some with your old UPN in there. And we have to go hunt for those and clean them out. So we're doing it there, and we're also doing it in the cache of the identity store. In this case, there are, can't open that, but there are many instances here where you're going to find the old username. So let me just show you kind of the logic we're using for that. Back to the lab here. So I'll go through one of them. Function cleanup logon cache is what we used. Okay, this takes 2 parameters, both strings. The logon cache itself is HKLM software Microsoft identity store logon cache. And the next one is call it the old username, which is really just the original username variable. Okay, so thanks to Jesse for putting this together. It's just absolutely crazy what ends up happening here. So let's log that we are cleaning up identity store cache. So the first thing we have to do is get the logon cache GUID, which are all the GUIDs, right? So if I come back here and show you, so the logon cache GUIDs are these 2 right here. So we have to get those. So we're going to do that by saying get child item. The path is going to be the logon cache. And we are going to select object name. And here we're going to do a split path leaf oh, not lead, leaf. And we have to trim out basically the curly braces, which will give us, that's going to give us with just these names, right? Of that. So you come back. Now we got to iterate through them. So for each GUID in logon cache GUID, right? Start by opening that up. We're going to get the sub keys. So your sub keys are going to be get child item path. And now we're going to put it together. So for this GUID that we're in, the path is going to be the logon cache this GUID. So it's going to look like this. Logon cache GUID. We'll put an error action of silently continue. And then we're going to select the object, expand property name, and again, split path is going to be leaf. So out of those, if there are none, I actually did that wrong. If exclamation point, if there are no subkeys under there, we're going to go ahead and log no subkeys found for GUID. And we'll just continue on our way, right? But if there are, now we're going to begin the next part of the function. So in the next part, we're going to take the subkeys variable and just trim out the curly braces. Okay. Now we're going to iterate through that. For each subkey in subkeys. Now I want to explain what this is. For each subkey in the subkey, meaning for all of these, because these are what we're looking for. For each one, we're going to say if they are one of these, right, we want to go inside of them. So we got to specify the name there. So they're going to have 3 distinct names. So for each one, if the subkey is equal to name to SID, or the subkey is equal to Sam name, or the subkey is equal to SID to name. And you can see those are the 3 names right there. Okay, so if that's the case, now we go into getting our subfolders of those. So we declare subfolders equals get child item path. So now we just go another layer, logon cache GUID, just like we did up here, right? But now we have to go to the subfolder. Sorry, the subkey. And we have to get that that piece there. So silently continue, select object, expand property, name, split path, leaf. So once again, if that's doesn't exist, so if there are none, we're just going to call that out here. Log error, no subfolders found for subkey. And again, we will continue because we want to keep looking. However, if it does find something, look how in we are. It's pretty crazy. If we do find something there, we do want to take the subfolders and we want to trim the curly braces off. This should look familiar. It's the same. Why do I care if that's capital or not? It's the same process we used before. And then we iterate through them. For each subfolder in subfolders. Okay, because now we're looking at the subfolders within them. So for each one, we are going to get the property of the cache username. Cache username equals get item property value path logon cache. Now here we go. We're going to string that all together. Subkey and subfolder. The name, and let's find that name. So if we do find one in here, there we go. Identity name. That's what we're looking for inside all of these. You see, identity name is what we're looking for. Same thing with SID to name. Identity name. So that's kind of the value within all of these we're looking for. So the name is identity name. And then we're just going to say if the cache username is equal to the old username, meaning if this is up top here, where do we do it? Old username. That's our original username. If we find one of any of these values where the identity name is the old name, the one we're trying to get rid of, then we are going to remove it. Remove item path logon cache with, see, we're stringing it all together here, subfolder recurse. Oh, spelling recurse wrong, it messes the whole thing up. And then we can log that. Registry key deleted. And we can just write out what that is, even though it's the same thing as up there. Subkey, subfolder. And we will write continue. And there you go. In the production script, when you look underneath that function, there's a similar function that is cleaning up the identity store. Same exact thing, same logic. No reason to kind of talk through that, but when you see it after we went over this one, you should have a better understanding. Shout out to Jesse for putting this together. This is one of those things that once I knew it had to be done, I let Jesse know. My brain, I think at the time, was feeling a little bit like a twisted soft pretzel because of all the other stuff putting together. So he came through and put this together really nicely. So thanks, Jesse, for that. And, as always, jump in the Discord. Let me know what you think about the solution and your experience, if you have feedback and all that good stuff. So till next time.
5, 4, 3,